Hello and happy Friday, everybody. I've got a great conversation with the legend John Fugelsang joining me today. More than a few laughs and some amazing points. As always, John is brilliant and hilarious. He's got a new book coming out in like a week. So I'm very excited to share this conversation with John Fugelsang with you. I want to thank everybody who joined us at our hangout last night. I was outside in the bonfire and I got bit by some mosquitoes. Other than that, it was awesome. Thank you to everybody who joined that. You can get a link to it. If you're a paid subscriber, you'll get the link with today's show. And if you're considering coming to our Farm Jam in real life gathering, September 5th through 7th in Central New York, there'll be a planning and Q&A meeting this coming Monday at 7. I'll send out a link for that as well to all Patreon stand-up subscribers. So if you're planning on coming or thinking about coming or you just want to hang out with us, but there's a Farm Jam meeting on Monday at 7 p.m. Then we'll do the regular hangout at 8 p.m. And that is all I have to tell you before I get to my conversation with John Fugelsang, other than no news today. Took Newsday off, needed to take the day off, super busy. And so I don't have your headlines and clips as I do most days, but I think you're going to love my conversation with John Fugelsang. Tomorrow, Christian Finnegan joins to wrap up the week and more. Look for that drop. And that's it. That's all I got to tell you, other than listen to John on SiriusXM, follow him on all the social media, and check out his new book, The Separation Between Church and Hate, which we talk all about coming up right now. There he is. There is the man right now. So excited to see you, John. Thank you for joining me. I was just thinking right before, if I were to have a gay trio, I would to choose you, and I don't know who the other man would be, but
or go with Katie Lang, who resembles me, but it would still be gay. Yeah. I'm here to help, Pete. I'm just here to help. That's all.
That is it. I want two people who look just like each other.
Like the Wonder Twins. I understand. You androgynous bastards have a thing for our kind. I get it.
Does she know you make that joke?
I don't know. It's been a while since we've spoken.
All right. Well, either way, next time you guys talk, I hope you're honest with her. Man, it's good to see you. How's everything going? You got this book coming out. You're doing the show. Anything else that we need to know about that in Fugel land? Separation of Church and Hate, a sane person's guide to taking back the Bible from fundamentalist fascists and flock fleecing frauds. Wow. Done.
I finally wrote it, Pete. I wrote the book that people told me to write for 15 years, and it's finally coming out, and I'm very, very excited about it through Simon & Schuster's Avid Reader Press. And it's a guide. Anybody of any faith system, whatever you believe, whatever, agnostics, atheists, any religion, Christian, whatever you got, anyone who's ever going to have to live with or deal with these right-wing Christian nationalists or fundamentalists. You ever watch the cable news and you see these right-wing Christian extremist folks and you say to yourself, Jesus Christ, these people are the opposite of Jesus Christ? Well, that's what this book is about. You don't need to believe in the Bible to thump Bible thumpers with the Bible. And it's a guide for anyone who's going to have to deal with any of these people in your government, in your workplace, in your family, in your social media feed. It's all about how the loudest, most obnoxious Christians are against Jesus on everything. And millions who thought they were growing up in a religion based on peace and love and found that this religion had been hijacked by a bunch of ex-segregationists and blow-dry televangelists. And if you've ever wondered how you can follow Donald Trump and Jesus, the answer is you can't. And this book explains why.
So excited. I'm so excited for you making these arguments and these points, as well as, if not better than almost anybody in media and comedy for most of your career. And I am so here for it, as they say. You know, you just said that word televangelist or evangelist. We think of these people who had these mega churches, who are at times big scammers and fraudsters, maybe all the time. But regardless, I almost feel like we need to update that word because the internet has allowed everybody to be a televangelist about anything. But, you know, Alex Jones and anybody else, now Tucker Carlson on the internet exclusively. People always talk about Fox News or talk radio, of course, precursors. But like today's televangelists, there's thousands, there's so many more of them with huge churches, if you will, online. And I wonder what you think of how the internet and these platforms that we all have access to has made the religious right more strong to,
Yeah. Well, those it's important to note those folks aren't all Christian nationalists, and they're not all haters, right? Like, we can make fun of the Joel Osteens out there and prosperity gospel and call it junk crap theology, because it is, but they're not haters. They're not white supremacists. They're not the people who are constantly ruining Christianity with violence. And they always say, oh, religion's responsible for all the oppression of women and homophobia and violence. And this book's like, no, it's the extreme right wings of all religions that are responsible for the homophobia and the oppression of women. The overwhelming majority of liberal and moderate and conservative Christians, Jews, and Muslims are getting along just fine right now, building families, building businesses, working together in schools. It's the douchebags that get all the ink. They're the ones who get all the attention. And the media is very culpable in all of this. And this book is really about how the history of Christianity is a history of cruelty, but it's also a history of Christians doing incredibly cruel things and Jesus followers fighting back. So it was the Christians who did the Crusades, and it was Jesus followers like St. Francis who quit and preached nonviolence. It was the Christians who did doctrine of discovery and pillaged the indigenous peoples, and it was the Jesus followers like Father Bartolomeo de las Casas on Columbus's ship who protested. The first ever act of protest by a white person against the abuse of indigenous people in this hemisphere came from the Catholic priest on Columbus's boat. Christians propped up slavery, and Christ followers like Frederick Douglass and the Quakers and Harriet Tubman fought them back. Christians propped up segregation. It was Christ followers like Martin Luther King who pushed back on them and their allies. Throughout history, it has always taken actual Jesus followers and their allies to beat back the batshit Christians. Yeah. And so that's sort of what this is about. And throughout history, the batshit Christians have been wrong about everything. And I got really tired of the media playing dumb about making my parents' religion a cloaking device for hatred and racists.
Yeah. Your mom was a nun. Your dad was a priest.
My dad was a Franciscan brother. Yeah.
You say extreme right wing of religion. I say fundamentalists.
Yeah.
Across all religions. And I remember, obviously post 9/11, you and me and a lot of other progressives were working really hard to fight back against Islamophobia with our friend Dino Bidala and so many more folks. But there's so much fear around extremists, jihadists or far right or fundamentalists or militant Muslims. There was so much, but the argument was always, there's 3 billion of them. And then I would also argue, back in the SiriusXM days with people like, I'm way more afraid of the fundamentalists in my country.
Correct.
Have the power than maybe the few Muslim fundamentalists in my country, much less around the world.
They're like their own religion. They're like their own religion. One of the points I make in this book is that the fundamentalists have more in common with each other. If you're an extreme fundamentalist Muslim or Jew or Christian or Hindu or, I don't know, like a Scientologist, you have the same traits in common, right? Number one, women are second-class citizens. No matter what your religion is, the more right-wing it is, the more God knows that they're just not good enough. Sex is bad unless it's for procreation. Extreme conservatives of all religions don't like the gays or the women enjoying their bodies at all. Violence is okay if my side does it. Extreme fundamentalists of all religions, no, I get a pass from thou shalt not kill. There's always a focus on punishment over healing. And finally, there's this victimhood persecution narrative that any evil thing we do is justified because of how badly we've been treated in the past. It doesn't matter what your religion is. The more conservative it is, the more you believe those 5 things.
Yeah, I want to unpack each one of them. The book does it. So go buy it right now. You can pre-order John's new book. If you haven't gotten it, you're going to want this. You're going to need it. And you're going to want to give a gift to all of your friends who are struggling with their family and friends who have fallen into this Christian nationalist hate lane, and John can debunk that and split the hair as he is here about religion in its many forms and talk about the good parts, the loving parts.
Well, yeah, I wanted to write something that this is the book I wish someone had given me when I was 17, and I didn't understand these Christians on TV news. I'm embarrassed to be told I'm the same religion as them, and why do I have to hate the gays? And where does the Bible say that abortion is this evil thing? And it's all bullshit. None of it's actually in the book. And I wanted to take all the issues that divide us the most: abortion, immigration. I mean, immigration alone. MAGA cannot claim to follow either testament of the Bible. The God of the Old Testament's unambiguous about welcoming the stranger, treating them as one of your own. You're not allowed to ever mistreat them in any way. And Jesus says in Matthew 25, individuals and nations will be judged, heaven or hell, by how they welcome the stranger. So again, these people, they can call themselves Christian all they want. They don't actually follow the commandments in the book. And this is a guide to taking away their camouflage, because God knows the media is not going to do it. The media is not going to ever ask these people, where in your holy book does Jesus drive the gay wedding cakes out of the temple? They're never going to ask.
Well, I don't know about that. You do. You're media. And there's a lot of other really good people who have followed in your footsteps that are doing good job, trying to ask these questions. I'm not sure exactly who you're referring to, if it's CNN anchor talking to a Republican elected or something, but I mean, you're certainly, that's not a question that gets focused on. I'm not really disagreeing.
And I'm not talking about journalists either. I mean, there's journalists and there's media, right? And the journalists may be liberal. You're supposed to be. Liberal means questioning authority and calling them out, but the media is as liberal as the corporations that own it. So there's lots of, we say it's a liberal media. It's actually a corporate media that's terrified of being called liberal. That's why there are great journalists out there.
For sure. That's such an important point, one I've tried to make forever, as we frame any institution, the media, the Congress, anything. And we talk about what's moderate, what's radical, what's liberal, what's conservative. And I want to ask you about some of those framing things too. But while we're still talking about religion and the book, and hope to talk to you again when I'm done reading the book, I haven't gotten a copy. Apparently there was a problem with the cover of the book.
Oh, yes, there is. Well, I sent you a PDF, Pete. I hope you got that.
I got a PDF. I do have a PDF.
Because you're thanked in the PDF, Pete. I want you to know.
Oh, I haven't seen that yet.
You're thanked in the PDF.
I was going to step right to my name.
So a year ago, they started trying to pitch me on having a bright red book cover. And I was like, I'm more into jewel tones, folks. And they were like really selling me on the bright red and this very Gothic font, which I thought was a little Third Reich-y, but we eventually agreed on it. It's very visually striking. And then a couple of weeks ago, I get these 3 boxes arrive in my apartment for me to sign of books. And it's like this pale, pinkish, peachish salmon color. It looks like they left my red book in the sun for 3 weeks. And now it's this. So I was like, oh, okay, I'll dry heave about this tomorrow when I can take it in. And to their credit, Simon & Schuster got me on a conference call right away. And they said, we're going to delay the release and get 30,000 new clean dust jackets in. So my book was delayed briefly. But if that's the worst thing that happens to me, then I'll be fine. And now, best of all, I'm going to be opening up in September now, so I get to go up against Kamala Harris, and no one's going to read that. So it actually looks good all around.
I don't know how the book industry works at all, but I mean, the Kamala Harris's book is popular for a minute, very popular. But your book is a kind of a how-to. I wrote this to give people to give their parents at the holidays and be estranged from your family forever. I go into gun control. I go deep into feminism on this one. I go into American history and anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, hatred for atheists, all this crap that these right-wingers are doing. I also go into all the sex hang-ups in the Bible for a chapter called Thou Shalt Let Go of Thy Sex Hang-Ups, because all of this body shame shit, none of it comes from Jesus. It all comes from the hang-ups of dead guys, and it's how they control people with superstition and shame. That's what I was going to ask you about, is specifically as it pertains to the Epstein situation, scandal, and the 10 years of talk, especially on the right, about it, as it pertains to sex trafficking and human trafficking. I did hear a CNN anchor talking about framing it like Republicans' interest in protecting children. And I wanted to throw up, because if we're talking about sexual abuse and deviancy and sexual assault, I don't know how that's a liberal or conservative thing, but certainly it's a religious thing. It's certainly a thing that people in certain jobs that create trust with children, especially, tend to go to those jobs for those reasons. But the idea that somehow Republicans who often identify as Christian and are Christian nationalists, in my opinion.
That's why I wrote this book. Yes.
They are protecting the children. Forget about, are they protecting them from abuse, which I'm stating they probably are more likely.
And what children are they protecting exactly? Not the brown ones, right? Not the ones with the USAID cuts. They're not really all that pro-life.
Certainly, those are two great points. I was actually thinking more about specific policies that affect poor children in general, like free lunch and healthcare and so on. But you cover to make those points. Those points are even better points, of course. So, what do you say if someone says somehow Republicans care about? Yeah, I mean, it seems like you started to answer it right there. Care about protecting the children, and especially as it pertains somehow to sexual abuse and human trafficking, like like somehow Epstein was related to, or that the people who commit these crimes are liberals or Hollywood elite. Like somehow, I mean, I've never been able to track that very well. What do you say to them?
The top group that rapes children among every society that has ever kept records about this is heterosexual identified men. That's who abuses children the most, including other boys. It's still heterosexual identified men, because rape is not about passion. It is not about attraction. It is about power. So that's always been the crew. Now, obviously, good people of all ideologies are appalled by child rape. Some of us are more appalled by it than others. We are talking about the party of Dennis Hastert. We're also talking about the distinction with sexual misbehaviors. The Democrats eject him. Republicans reelect him. But if you want to get kid specific, I'm really happy to do it. Donald Trump is the only person to have ever been president who was accused of child rape in court, and to have been accused of rape by a former spouse, and to have been accused credibly of sexual assault by over 25 citizens, and to be on tape boasting of committing sexual assault. So I'm happy to have this conversation any day. Obviously, decent Democrats, decent Republicans, decent conservatives, decent progressives are appalled by this. Male douchebaggery knows no ideology line. There are flawed men of every conviction and every tribe who will do awful things if they think they can get away with it. God knows that's true. What I do with my MAGA friends is, and I do this with our listeners all the time, and y'all can do this. I say to them, hey, MAGA friends, when your uncle racist and your aunt dead inside come over for Thanksgiving, you know the one, Pete, the ones who still mad about Pride Month and it's November, those ones, I say, can you give me one actual Jesus teaching there from that Bible, from the Jesus parts where he talks, because most of them don't know that. They think it's in the Bible, right? It's in the Bible somewhere. So somewhere in the Bible says it somewhere. I say, no, Jesus, the one you're supposed to follow, because Christians don't follow the Bible. They follow Christ. Okay, the Bible commands you to kill adulterers, Leviticus 20:10. So I'll let you work that out with Mr. Trump. I say to them all, let's just go with just Jesus. Give me one teaching of Jesus that Donald Trump or his MAGA movement fight for. And I ask this of all my conservative friends and right-wing friends. Give me one. The number one answer I get, Pete, Dominic, is abortion. Abortion.
Not a Jesus.
Not a Jesus thing. Actually, not a Bible thing. Would you believe, Pete, the Bible's not against abortion, never mentions abortion. God asserts in Exodus that a fetus is property and a woman's life has more value in his eye. Exodus 21. God actually gives rather gruesome tips on how to commit an abortion if you think your wife is pregnant by adultery. So, no, Jesus is against the death penalty more than once. MAGA, not so much. They don't really agree with what Jesus actually said. So the second most common thing, abortions are legal and free in Israel right now because Jesus' religion never got around to banning them. So the number two thing they'll say, Pete, is strong border. And that's when I have to say, no, the only commandment about borders in the whole Bible, Old and New, is the commandment to welcome the stranger, treat them as one of your own.
People say that there's a religious belief around. Where does that come from?
Strong border. They haven't read the Bible, Pete. That's the thing about MAGA Christians.
Yeah, okay, but where does it come from?
They haven't read the Bible, and they're counting on you not having read it too.
Well, that's why I can't make these arguments. I just defer to you and always have.
Well, I call them grab them by the pussy evangelicals, because that's as deep as their spirituality gets. And they think that somehow, because Nehemiah, the cupbearer, built a wall, that means to restore Jerusalem after the Babylonian exile, that somehow God wants us to build a wall to keep the needy brown people out. And they will go away. They will go around Jesus. These anything but Jesus Christians. St. Paul says, well, respect the governing authorities, follow the laws. So they'll say, oh, well, there you go. You can't welcome them because St. Paul, not God, not Jesus, but Paul, we're going to prioritize him because he said, follow our laws. And I'm like, y'all support Donald Trump. You don't believe this. And Paul tells you to take care of immigrants because they might be angels in disguise. They haven't read the book. They're looking for any excuse to be mean, and they use the book to give themselves this veneer of righteousness or morality that they haven't earned, Pete. This book is about taking away their camouflage.
To talk a little bit about cruelty and meanness. I felt like I grew up in an America where name calling was bad. It was just bad. Like we had rhymes about it and so on, sticks and stones and all that. Name calling, you were taught not to do that. In every school in America, you're not supposed to call people names and stuff. So just starting with name calling, and then we can get to the cruelty of tearing families apart and obviously capital punishment and all of the rest. But what happens to people in their churches across this country, to religious people, that allows them to claim to say that they're religious, to even go to the church, to identify a certain way, but then be mean. Is it you could be mean to people you don't know or people who you disagree with, but you're generally friendly to strangers until you cross me? Like, have you ever talked to folks? Do you have any understanding of where the permission for cruelty comes from?
I do. I mean, it's all about tribalism. And once you believe that this is my side, and if you're a fundamentalist, then you believe that you're on the side that speaks for God, right? So if you oppose me, then you must represent Satan because I'm on the side of God. And once I believe that you represent Satan, whether it's deliberate or just misguided, I'm not going to sit down and negotiate school curriculum or what marriage is or what women's rights should be with an emissary of Satan. I'm here trying to be a good person. And it doesn't matter if you're Muslim or Christian. This is how it works. And this is how you come to believe that anyone opposed to me is opposed to God. So I've got to do all this shit, for God. And the exact reverse is true, right? Christianity is supposed to be all about humility, not total right-wing domination of the school board. These guys don't believe in anything the character of Jesus actually talks about. And all my life, they've used it to hide behind. So with any kind of faith group, if you're looking at Christianity, what does Jesus consistently do? He sides with the marginalized, whoever's hated, whoever's lowest on the totem pole, whoever's getting shit on the most, right? That's who this character sides with, whether it's the lepers, the prostitutes, the tax collectors, the despised foreigners like the Samaritans. You're allowed to hate the Roman centurions, whoever's hated. That's who Jesus aligns with. Look at this Trump, Vance, Pence, right-wing Christianity. It's all about shitting on the marginalized. The least of us, the immigrant, the migrant, the Christian refugees at our border that they call illegals, the transgender kid who just wants to use a bathroom they're comfortable in, the poor people overseas who are relying on USAID for their AIDS medication or their food. I mean, it's all about shitting on the least of us. And Donald Trump got to these people, not by promising to do a single damn thing Jesus talked about. And here's what the media doesn't discuss. Trump never once held up a Bible and said, Jesus commands us to do these things and I'm going to do them better. He did none of that shit. These people hate what Jesus commands. Donald Trump did it by playing up the persecution narrative, by saying that you guys have been taking it from the man for a long time, and I'm going to fight for Christians. I'm going to put you on top. I'm going to elevate. Once again, he didn't promise to fight for the teachings of Jesus. He promised more earthly power, and that's all their movement cares about. They don't care about abortion, Pete. They don't give a rat's ass about abortion. If they did, they'd fight to have more birth control. They'd fight to have better sex ed in the schools. They don't give a crap about illegal immigration. You think these oligarchs care? If they cared about it, they'd lock up the white people who put up the help wanted sign at our border and do all the hiring. The border crossings would end in a week if we started locking up folks for their choice of nanny and construction worker. They only care about power, and whatever issue helps them get power, including the pretense of Christianity, they'll latch onto it.
Well,
they believe in nothing. They believe in nothing, and it's easy to call them out.
They've got all the power now, it would seem, certainly with the federal government. And I wanted to talk to you before I got to let you go about a few other issues outside of religion in the book, although a lot of it does obviously come back to it. And of all people, you would be best to show us the way to tie it back to it. But first of all, I just want to ask you about this Mamdani fella. Now, I'm told he's a Muslim. Is that right?
Yes, he is. He's a Muslim. Yeah.
Jeez.
Quite popular with the Jews there in New York City, too. Yeah.
Right after 9/11, we nominate a Muslim.
Yeah, right out. Can you believe it? Like right after.
Somebody said that on Facebook. They're like, it's 20 years after, 23 years after 9/11. Now look how far we've kind of spiraled. He's saying that we've gone in the wrong direction.
What I say about all of your jokes about the Pope being shot. It's too soon, Pete. I still say it. It's 40 years and it's still too soon. Yeah. Yeah.
I did have a solid hour.
Turns out a Muslim who's running with his best friend, the Jew, this Brad Lander, Zohran, man, I just want to see the reality show where they're roommates. That's the only reason I'm getting behind these guys. The two-headed Muslim Jew. It's my favorite new thing in New York. I mean, it's like there's Pizza Rat, Naked Cowboy, and Lander Donnie.
I didn't know about Lander Donnie, but I love it so much. So you're a New Yorker. I used to be a New Yorker. What do you make of Mamdani's rise there? What's that all about?
I think it's incredible when you look at the amount of young people that turned out to vote in a primary election for mayor. You know, Merrick Adams is there because no one showed up. No one shows up to vote in these primaries. More young people showed up to vote for this guy than have ever shown up in a primary. Democrats, you keep saying, how are we going to get young men? How are we going to get young people? And then you finally have it happen, and all you want to do is crush it like a bug. He's not anti-Semitic, guys. Make him jump through whatever hoops you got to make him jump through to prove that he's not anti-Semitic. And then get on board with this guy because he is popular. What's going to happen if he's elected mayor? He will smack into a brick wall of political reality on day one. It's inevitable he will, and it will either crush him or he will grow from it. That's what happened to Bill Clinton. That's what happened to Barack Obama. But you really want to turn this over to Curtis Sliwa? You really want to have your vanguard be Andrew Cuomo right now, Democrats? Yeah. You got this kid. He is very electable in a very diverse city. I know you're terrified of what that could mean, and some of these guys are terrified because some lobbyist groups donate based on these things more than others. Let's just put it that way. But for a party that's looking to win elections, he's great. For a party that's looking to raise funds, he's problematic.
He's 33 years old, and that also helps explain why a lot of young people probably voted for him because they know they can relate to him. But I feel like we're at a point in this country where, for many of us, character and trust are almost more important than the policies because those things can change, and it's a lot harder to change character and trust. And obviously, you know, progressives, if you've been in the game long enough, you can see where the special interests are and how they affect them. But
yeah, and this guy's fighting for poor people to be able to take the bus. That's who bought him off.
Yeah, but not just poor people. Like, you know, it's so expensive to live in New York City.
Expensive to live in New York City. And again, we all remember the rent is too damn high guy. We remember him for very good reason. Yeah. This is a continuation of that. I mean, this is something that, this happened because Bernie Sanders showed you can actually run for president and talk about morality. And what no one wants to talk about, to bring it back to religion, is by fighting for the poor, by fighting for the hungry, Zohran Mamdani has a more Christian agenda than any of the Republicans who are smearing him right now. And I will whip out a Bible and go note for note about it. This Muslim is more Christian than the right-wing Christians. And that's the point that we have to keep on hammering home again and again. Why the hell aren't you fighting for the poor to be able to afford the bus? Why the fuck aren't these right-wing Christians fighting for food to be free for low-income people in markets? Why the fuck do these people want to call themselves Christian and then embrace this get while the getting's good, me, trickle down bullshit. Zohran Mamdani is more Christian than they are. I want to take the fight to them stronger than ever, Pete. I'm tired of watching these Democrats be piñatas. And it's really obvious why he's tearing the party apart. Because of Clintonism, because the fundraising matters. This is neoliberalism. I'm not taking anything against the leader Jeffries, and Democrats make their money however they can make money. I get it. But, I mean, you're not going to see fewer Muslims running for office as Democrats in the next few decades, guys. Just putting it out there.
It always pisses me off so much is that most people are so cynical to think that politicians are all getting rich, or that politicians are, they do have to raise a lot of money for their campaigns. Campaigns cost a lot of money. Somebody has to fund them. But It's just the Democratic platform has forever been to get money out of campaigns. And some people say, do you really think that?
Well, officially it is. Officially our motto is to get money out of campaigns, but they've also got to play the game just as hard.
But you have to play the game. I'm saying I know. It's awful. It's awful. They got to play the game and do all this dirty stuff that they keep promising to get rid of. Right. But they can't get rid of any of it because of the Supreme Court. That's the point. The Supreme Court changed the game. So it meant
but a smart Democrats could start to bribe shame in ways that Democrats have not begun to. There's so much you can do in the court of public opinion. We have legalized bribery that is so steep in this country. Americans have not begun to. Pete, if our population understood congressional pensions alone, they'd be showing up with pitchforks and torches at the Capitol.
Listen, I think, let's move on past the campaign finance issue and Democrats' part of it, because it's
publicly funded elections. That's it. I mean, money in politics is the square root of all of our problems, from crime to climate inaction. Yep. It's big money in politics. We got to stop it.
Yeah, agree. But but as you said, as long as you have to raise this much money to run for a House seat, Senate seat, and the President of the United States, it's got to come from somewhere. And we can talk obviously about that. But what do you think? Let me ask you this before I go. Epstein.
What a guy. I love when dead rapists destroy living ones, by the way. Jeffrey Epstein is already Times Man of the Year.
He's been photographed with so many people. I was sure there would be a John Fugelsang, Ghislaine Maxwell photo that would pop up. Are we about to learn anything? I
got a great one of you and me with Ron Jeremy. I got that. And the Bunny Ranch pimp guy. Got that one, Pete. Thank you for that. Sure. Thank you for that adventure. I mean, it's really amazing to watch the distractions. I mean, this is how scared they are, guys. Like, I know it's terrible and they're going to hurt a lot of other people, but don't be afraid to stop and smell the train wreck now and then, because taking away Rosie's citizenship and firing the Fed chair and releasing the MLK tapes and banning paper straws. And stop me when I get to this week. I mean, like every day, the Sidney Sweeney ad, like they are so desperately afraid. That's what this redistricting thing in Texas is. They're trying to cheat this hard in a state this red 18 months early. They know how much this is going to stink in a few months. They know the tariffs are going to be terrible. They know the toll this is going to take on the economy. A lot of folks are still going to get hurt. But Donald Trump is going to be the only man in the world who can unify these Democrats, and he's going to do it this year.
How so?
Sheer force of awfulness and corrosive dishonesty and incompetence. These Democrats, look, they've already come a long way, Pete. Again, there's nothing the Democrats love to do more than play fuck you for only agreeing with me on 85% of the issues. The circular firing squad. Donald Trump's going to unify this party in ways that we can't even imagine. People saying who's going to be the presidential nominee. Don't even think about that. It's all about the midterms right now. They're trying so hard to cheat in the midterms already. There will be 247 Democrats announcing they're running for president in January of 2027. So just let that process play out and coalesce. It's probably going to be someone we're not talking about right now.
I'm sure.
I don't care at all. I care about the midterms and I care about people getting more engaged, and it's going to get a lot worse. Joe Biden became president with the most votes ever because COVID had us all home and we were trapped indoors watching the news all day, and we all got our mail ballots and voted. We were forced to participate in civic democracy that year. We weren't in 2024. And look at how amazing this woman did. In 100 days, she got more votes for president against the most famous man in the world than Reagan got either time. She got more votes than Bill Clinton ever got. She got more votes than Barack Obama ever got any time they ran. This woman was in the race 100 days and got the third highest vote total in history. And I don't care what polls say about the Democrats. Well, look at the policies. Everything they fight for is still more popular than Republican policies. Yeah. Women's reproductive freedoms, taxing the rich, decriminalize weed, paid family leave. Jesus Christ, Democrats, paid family leave already. It's so popular with Republicans and independents. Pick up the issues and get people excited to vote based on issues. If they try to be the party of non-Trump again, it'll work. Won't work enough.
Is the Epstein thing going away?
Never. No, it's not going away. It can't go away because it can't do anything. They're never going to release the names, Pete, not because of the famous names, but because of the donor names, the names that you and I wouldn't know, but the names of rich men who have donated heavily to both political parties. We're never going to get the names of these guys, these men who have not been accused of any crimes. They're not going to release all these flight manifests with all these names and try to ruin. They're just not going to do it. So we have this situation, right, where you have every Republican but one in the House who voted to block the release of these names. Democrats, they've cut your ads for you for 2026. Every Republican but one voted to protect child rape.
I think they took a new vote. I think Comer and the Oversight Committee subpoenaed the Epstein files. Like, Republicans seem to be at odds with the administration on these.
I mean, some of them are, some of them aren't. But here's the deal.
Mike Johnson isn't, though.
Mike Johnson, he's got to walk the line. But they all know they're going to be there longer than Trump. And we got to be honest, Pete Dominic, I don't have any pleasure in saying this, but Donald Trump's not a healthy man. Have you seen him? His body is
I disagree with you.
He's 40% Crisco, Pete. He's not a healthy man. They measure his insulin with a dipstick, Pete. He's not well. Okay. His blood type is ranch. He's not a healthy man, Pete. You understand? He tried to fire his own pancreas. He's not well. So here's what we got to look at.
What does he shit? What comes out of his ass when he shits?
I mean, Lindsey Graham and then whatever he had for dinner last night. But what's supposed to come out? Jesus. But, we call it voiding in the community. But the real thing is this. We keep wondering when are MAGA going to break up? When are the non-millionaires going to stop being suckered? When are these Confederates going to stop being duped by the plantation owners? We've been looking at it all wrong. The real question is, when are the oligarchs going to break up with Trump? Their hired help. Trump's not an oligarch. He owns golf courses that oligarchs golf on.
But he's come back.
But they're breaking up with Elon's broken up with him. Elon called him a child rapist.
Yeah, he did.
I mean, Rupert Murdoch published this birthday card. Trump sued Rupert Murdoch for $20 billion. And you know how Rupert responded?
He put out another
the next day that Pam Bondi told Trump he was in the Epstein files last May and he's known the whole time. Right. Rupert is done with this guy. Rupert knows that Donald Trump's not going to sue him for $20 billion. He's going to bail before they get to the discovery phase. The oligarchs, the landlords of this country know that Trump is just the dude standing at the velvet rope saying, no poors past this point. The real thing we got to look at is these guys don't need him anymore. This is like a Bond villain hitting a button that says delete asset, right? I mean, they got their massive tax cut. The greatest transfer of wealth.
They got everything they wanted.
Project 99% to the 1% in history. Yeah. They got their deregulation. They can pollute and poison our air and water all they want. And then the next day, they got their crypto bill. They have their crypto loopholes. They don't need this guy anymore. At this point whether it's Trump, whether it's Vance, whether it's one of the Bushes, it makes no difference to the oligarchs. The others would be less embarrassing. So stop waiting to see when MAGA is going to wise up and cut this guy loose. Start looking to see when America's landlords are going to be tired of their super embarrassing the building.
Find me a better commentator than John Fugelsang. You're so smooth. How many requests do you get a week? How many do you get? A lot of requests every week to join people's millions of different shows and stuff.
What do you mean?
Like, do people
shows and talk about stuff?
Yeah. Are you all constantly invited on?
I mean, sometimes I'm kind of a hard sell for some folks because, when I was a kid, Pete, my dad had this goal to make me way too Christian for the liberals and then way too Christian to ever fit in with the liberals and then way too liberal to fit in with the fucking Christians. And every therapist I've been able to afford says his plan worked beautifully. So I get a lot of trouble because I bring religion into it because these guys hide behind it. They're not really Christian and you don't have to be really Christian to call them out for it. I'm so tired of these mean frauds. I care so much less about your religion, however you identify, than how you behave. So if someone says they're religious, whatever their religion,
I might be a little bit questionable at the beginning if I don't know them, but then you get to know somebody and you see the way they carry themselves. And I mean, I've known you my whole career, and I know nothing. I know of no complaints. I know of no skeletons. I know of no.
No, I'm a yard sale, man. I'm a mess.
Oh, you are yard?
Yeah. I'm me writing a book about the morality. That's like tax tips from Willie Nelson, right? Like, no, I'm not the guy for this.
You're a good man. You treat people well. You can't hide it. I know you.
I just interviewed Willie, by the way. I just interviewed Willie at Jones Beach. I got to go onto his bus backstage at Jones Beach and do it in person. He's 92.
Oh my God! Where is that airing? Where is that going to be?
It's going to air, I think, this Friday on SiriusXM. I've done my show before, but I haven't seen him. He hasn't been on in person, and he doesn't do many interviews in person.
Yeah,
and
that's cool.
Not going to come into the city, so I was like, "Can I come backstage at Jones Beach?" And I got to go back on his trailer, and he's 92. Pete.
That's great. That's great.
The other night, he had Bob Dylan open for him, and Willie killed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, just great. Just terrific.
He
gave me a great blurb for the book too. I get invited on these shows, but sometimes like they want me on to be like the Bible guy. And then sometimes I have to come on because they want someone to be the classic rock guy. Cause I have that thing. And then sometimes they want me to come on to do the just jokes and stuff. I gotta get more into like lame dad. I want to be invited to more lame dad shows.
I can help you with that. I can help you with that. That's my lane.
Yeah, but I get invited to a lot of this stuff, and it's very curious to see how much I set my career on fire by having now written a book about the actual Bible. I had my first attack article written against me by the Washington Examiner, Pete. So I feel very I'm pretty sure it was written by an algorithm that never read my book, and I feel really honored by it.
Well, there it is. Separation of Church and Hate. Go buy it now. You are a prince.
Oh, Pete.
You still got it, John.
You're the best, Pete Dominic. You're the best.
It's you. You're graying a little bit. I like to see it. It looks good. I like the way it comes out of the roots.
I like to do different things. I try it sometimes.
Yeah, you look like a young Alan Dershowitz.
Oh, wow. That's exactly who I'm going for. That's so funny you said that. That is so funny. That's why I have such a young masseuse in the next room.
Oh, there it is.
But like Dershowitz when he was still sexy, like when he was getting Klaus, when he was getting Klaus von Bülow off for murder, like when he was still sexy. You know what I mean? Our hearts were young and gay.
That's the Dersh I was talking about.
Yeah, like old Dersh before he sold out and went corporate. You know what I mean? Indie Dershowitz is what I'm talking about, baby.
I don't mean
not that corporate pop crap he's done since the 90s.
Great stuff. I'll let you go. Thank you very much for joining me, John. And thank you everybody for watching us live.
Thank you so much, Pete. And thank your wonderful viewers and listeners. My book is now on sale at your local independent bookstore or Not Evil website.
Go get it now. Yeah, and there he goes. John Fugelsang. Go get the book. Follow him on social media. Let him know that you heard him here on the show. I'll have to have him stop by one of our hangouts at some point soon. Although when does he get on the air? 9 to midnight, I think. Yeah. Okay, that's it. That's all I've got for you today. And I'll be back here tomorrow with Christian Finnegan. Thank you very much for your support. Take care of yourselves and your loved ones and even the ones you don't love. All the critters and creatures. I'm going to stop talking. John Carroll, you're the greatest. Thank you very much for all of the amazing music. Everybody should go support him. Support John. Download his new album, johncarroll.org. That's it. You bumblebees. Goodbye.
When you can't see the forest for the burning trees, you got to stand up. Hey, you've been sitting so long, you got the creaky knees, you got to stand up. Stand up. I think you're driving wheels with leaking grease. Boy, you better stand up. Stand up. Well, there's a whole lot more of us who know what's right. They'll keep right on ignoring us if we keep sitting tight. You got to open up the window to let in some light. You got to stand up. That's right. You got to rise up. You got to stand up. You got to stare the devil straight in the eye. We got to let him know it's his turn to go. See it clear when all you hear is a lie. So get up off of your butt, get down off of your fence. Even if it ain't a very friendly audience, well, they'll begin to listen when you start making sense. And you stand up, stand up. No need to point your rifle to defend your town. Just stand up, stand up. You know they can't deny you what you're laying down. Boy, you better stand up. hard ground, and that's stand up. Stand up. Well, the founding fathers saw a land for all. They had to stand up. They had to stand up. They had a keen imagination for a crystal ball, drawing all the plans of a stand up. But all they had to go on was the time they were in, with other causes for laws, and since they weren't even sin, they knew that change was gonna come before the change could begin. They had to stand up. All right, they had to stand up. We got to stand up. We got to look the devil square in the eye. We gotta let him know it is the time to go, and make it clear when all we hear is a lie. Why you lying awake wondering where the money all went? It'll be the cost of freedom that'll go unspent. You can see him flee the scene of that experiment if you stand up. Alright, we got to speak up, we got to reach up, and raise your voice in every way you know how. Don't be toes up, you got to show up. Ain't no better time to do it but now. No need to pledge allegiance to no wanton tribe. Rise up, show obedience to the voice inside, and listen well and it'll tell you not to run